Folks, I had a different show planned for you tonight. It's a little more optimistic. Now, listen, ordinarily there's nothing wrong with optimism, but I'm sorry, I don't really feel that optimistic right now. And I know a lot of you don't either. You know that old, cliche, time heals all wounds? You've probably heard it 1,000 times, but does it? Because I don't feel particularly healed. And it's been a lot of time since 9/11. I don't feel healed at all. I feel just as angry now as I did back then, if not more so. That wound's still open. It's still fresh. That rage is still there. It feels like it was yesterday. I remember it. I have vivid memories of my day that day. I was a young Secret Service agent. I was only 26 at the time, and I was in Long Island, New York. We were getting ready to serve an arrest warrant. We never served that arrest warrant. Someone ran into our office and said, "Oh my gosh, this guy Tom came in, this agent, and said a bomb just went off in the World Trade Center." He was on the phone with our New York office. We had an office in 7 World Trade Center on the 9th and 10th floor. I mean, it was this moment where we were all trying to digest. Was like a bomb went off in the World Trade Center. How could this be? How could this happen again? Remember, a bomb had already went off in the World Trade Center years before that. We didn't find out about the plane till a bit later, and we were in my boss's office. We turned on the news. It said breaking news, and then we watched that second plane come in. Well, the agents and I, we took a minute to process. We're like, are we watching a horror movie? Is this real? And I'll never forget, one of the guys in the office was a young agent, and he had been a navigator in the Navy. And he said, "That's not an accident. I've flown on 1,000 planes. That's not an accident." So we all drove into our John F. Kennedy office. We had an office in JFK Airport. And we had all these agents in the city because the UN General Assembly was going on, so the Secret Service had to protect them all. We had hundreds and hundreds of agents. So we went through this list, and we were trying to track them down. And it just took hours and hours and hours. But one by one, we didn't have cell phones for the Secret Service back then, so we had two-way pagers. And when the signals would open up, we would get people and we'd check them off. Good, he's alive, and he's alive. And we went down the list and hours into the night. And we watched our office collapse, 7 World Trade Center. It was about 5 p.m. Again, it all seems so vivid. I feel like I'm living it with you all again right now. And we checked off the names, one by one. Thank God this guy's alive. And there were 2 names at the end. And one of the names left was a guy I had worked with in that Long Island office of the Secret Service. And I thought, I don't think he made it. It turned out he was in Nigeria on a criminal case. And he had called in. His name was Kevin. And he said, "Kevin, thank God you're alive." He had just heard. But there was still one name left. He didn't make it. That was rough. Those are real people. What made it worse? I worked as a police officer before being in the Secret Service in the 7-5 precinct, and they had a garage next door. And in that garage, we had emergency service unit truck 7. I probably walked by emergency service. That's like our SWAT team. And we had a parking lot in the back of the 7-5 precinct. And emergency services unit truck 7, they lost 2 guys, ran into those towers. These guys were heroes. Everybody else was running out. They ran in. And I think to myself often, it's kind of haunting that I probably walked by those guys in that little parking lot 100 times. Maybe a couple hundred times. Small parking lot. But no one will ever walk by those guys again. This is tough tonight, folks. I'm sorry. It's a live show, and I thought it'd be a little easier. But it's not. But we couldn't tape it. Listen, God's blessed this country. He has. We shouldn't even be here. There was no chance we'd beat the British Empire, no chance we'd survive the War of 1812, the Civil War. But we did. We beat the odds every time. God needs our help too. Got to get back in the game. Me too. It's depressing sometimes, especially thinking about what happened today. But our nation's hallmark has always been overcoming adversity. Always.